And we are live. What's up, guys? Welcome to the FreshandFit Podcast. We're here with Adam, our boy from Valuetainment.
Yes, sir.
We got an interview coming up that's going to be lit for y'all. Let's get into it. Let's go. Hey, what's up, guys? Welcome back to the FreshandFit Podcast. We're on episode 2 of today's Money Monday, bro.
Yes.
We brought our boy Adam from Valuetainment, a.k.a. the Patrick Bet David Podcast. Real quick announcement, guys, patreon.com/freshfit. Check us out over there. You want to see us kick out annoying girls to include that dumb bimbo from last week? Patreon.com/freshfit. And we also upload a bunch of content on there almost every day, and a couple of the videos that got taken down while we were suspended from YouTube. So go check out the unfiltered stuff over there.
Yep.
Also, check us out on FreshFit Clips, our other YouTube channel where we put the best parts or the funniest parts of each podcast. So if you don't have 2 to 3 hours to watch a full pod, check us out over there and enjoy the clips. The whole other channel, FreshFit Clips. Also, check us out on Spotify, Google, our podcast. We're everywhere that you listen to pods because we're the best. And then get the merch, guys, FreshFitPodcastStore.com, so you don't end up like Fresh spending a lot of money on designer. So get the hoodies, t-shirts, etc.
Get the gear, y'all. Get the gear.
Simp to pimp gear. You know what I'm saying? And then, yeah, other than that, man, let's get right fucking into it. Adam, welcome to the show, man.
Thank you, brother.
We know who you are.
Exactly.
Look, we did a fire interview with
That was
Adam,
awesome.
Yeah.
Last week?
Last Thursday.
And it's already
4
at
days ago.
830K views already on YouTube.
83K.
83K.
Yeah.
There you go.
You throw an extra 0 in there, it's all good.
Yeah.
They won't
No
know.
biggie.
They won't know.
So, Adam, we know who you are, man.
Yeah.
But can you introduce yourself to the people?
For sure. Respect. So my name's Adam Stosnick. Everyone calls me Sauce. So everyone, Adam Sauce. And I co-host the PBD podcast on Valuetainment with Patrick Bet David, who a lot of people know as like a big-time businessman. That guy's as real as it gets. And I grew up here in Miami. I'm a local boy, done good. 305 in the house for sure. And I'm a full-on rags to riches story. So I'm an open book. You can Google me if you want to, y'all. And nothing off limits today. And basically, I'm sure we'll get into it. You know, my mission at the end of the day is I was a jack of all trades, had a million different jobs, club promoter.
Take us through it, bro.
Yeah, I was.
Tell us the rags to riches story, man.
I'll tell you the rags to riches story, but and then my purpose right now is to basically break down finance into a language that everybody can understand.
Right.
So I'll give you the long story short. Basically, so I grew up here in Miami. I was a public school kid my whole life, and my last 3 years of high school, I got a scholarship to a private school called Miami Country Day because I was a football player and a basketball player. And I went from being like the one white boy on the basketball team to being like, there was only one kid on the basketball team that was black kid on the basketball team.
Exactly. Miami, let alone on the basketball
exactly. So like I saw both sides of the track here in Miami. You know, as you guys know, Miami is a complete melting pot. You know, Cuban, Jamaican, Haitian, Jewish, black, white. Yeah, don't know.
Big man.
Yeah, for sure. And just seeing both sides of the track. And I was like, oh, shit. And, you know, I had a piece of shit Honda Accord that my mom gave me, color of rust, where in public school, it's like, whatever, you got a shitty car. You're one of like the hundreds. You show up to the private school and everyone's got, you know, private school in fucking Miami. Are we talking about BMWs, Mercedes, you know, Hummers, the whole thing? And I'm like, oh, shit. And for me, my crutch was always comedy. So I did stand-up comedy for a long time. You know, we'll get into all that. But I went from like this like weird, like how did I end up in this school, like kid, like kind of awkward. And then by senior year, I was captain of the football team, captain of the basketball team, just like running the show, shitty ass car and all, you know. So played college football. But basically, just to move things along, after college, I basically moved back to Miami, and I was like, all right, like most college kids, what do I
Where'd you
do?
your undergrad?
I went to Florida State.
Florida State. Okay.
So Florida State. Shout out to Florida State. My
FSU?
Seminoles out there. Although I am a huge Canes fan, so it was always conflicting. So 305 at the end of the day. I know. I get that a lot. But so basically, when I got back to Miami, I was a club promoter. I was a hotel manager. I was doing stand-up comedy. Shout out to Chris. I did some substitute teaching for a little bit.
He was a sub guy.
I was.
You look like a substitute teacher.
Thank you, bro, Mr. Adams. Kids, keep it down, y'all.
I can't imagine you as a club promoter.
A club promoter for a while, yeah.
Either. That's funny.
Bro, look at this.
sure.
You literally look like the guy that would like roll in that TV right into the classroom and people know what time
Hung
it
the
is.
fuck
Hey,
over.
it's a
movie day, y'all. It's a movie day. Anytime they put a movie on, you know I'm just hung over the night before.
That's what I'm saying.
And then, so I did a bunch of just different jobs, and finally eager to start just fucking making some money because all my friends were starting to come up in their early to mid 20s, and this was 2006, 2007, right before the recession. I got a job as a cold caller for a startup financial firm hedge fund up in Boca. I knew nothing about finance. I knew nothing about insurance, investments, everything I did. Nothing. I just knew that from all my club promoting days and stand-up comedy, I just wasn't scared. I just was like, yo, whatever that it is, you need to get on the phones and make sales and network, whatever. Yeah. I had it. So I went from my first year in that business, I made $5 fucking grand in a whole year.
1 year?
Yeah, exactly. And then my second year made $100 grand. Yeah, I was like literally crashing on friends' couches.
How old are you at this point now?
I'm 26, 27 at that point.
This is circa 2007,
2006, 2007, right around there. So I'm 41 now. Yeah, I'm old, bro.
Just kidding.
I just look up for my age, dog. I tell people if you look good for 40, tell people you're 50. Like, damn, you look fucking amazing.
Yeah.
But if you don't look good for 40, you tell someone like you're 35, it's like you look fucking horrible. Dude.
Yeah.
Get it together.
But like this, like we say, men definitely gain wisdom and experience, and they also gain notoriety when they get older.
Yep.
Yeah, I would say right now I'm 41. I feel like I'm in my prime right now. Me, just so you guys know. But basically, I just to kind of get to the point of all this, I went from making $5 my first year and made $100 grand. Then the recession happened. Yeah, the recession happened. Went back down to like $40 I'm very open about this. And then cha-ching. And then all of a sudden, like light switch. It's kind of like like the Malcolm Gladwell. You got to put in 10,000 hours to be an expert at something like that. And then all of a sudden, I started making money: $100 grand, $200 grand, $300 grand, $400 grand, $500,000 a year. And I'm like, holy shit! At the age of 35, I'm a fucking millionaire. This is insane, right? But I was always like my whole mantra, like the theme of my show and everything. And I'll get into all that. Is save that money, and we'll get into all that. But basically, while I was making all this money, I was just stacking and investing, and so that's it. So basically, how I ended up in social media, just to kind of wrap this up and open it up, was I met Patrick Bet-David in 2010 at a financial conference. Okay. And we were just two dudes working out in the fucking gym.
Wow.
And
really?
yeah, and what I call it, these conferences, I call it the MPS, male, pale, and stale crowd. It's just like all a bunch of old white dudes, right? And I'm a white guy, but I'm not pale or stale, or I mean, maybe I can get some sun, but I ain't fucking stale.
Yeah.
So I bonded with Pat, who's a 6'4" Iranian guy, and we're like, "What's your deal? What's your deal? All right, cool, let's keep in touch." And then every year I saw him, and this guy was getting bigger and bigger and bigger in his field, and I was getting bigger too, but not like him.
Was he on YouTube at that point?
Not yet.
Okay.
No, not at all. He was just starting his financial
This
company.
is 2011,
2010, 2000, exactly. 2011, 2012, exactly. 2012 to be exact, exactly. Okay. And he had not started Valuetainment, because I think Valuetainment started in like 2014.
Yeah.
And if anybody knows Patrick or Valuetainment, like the guy is an absolute G. And what happened was when I first met him, it was in the gym, like homies working, like when I met you, yo, what up?
Yeah.
The next time I met him, he had two people surrounding him, like a CMO and a CFO. Hey, how you guys are doing? By the third or fourth time I saw him, there was a crowd around him at this financial conference, and like his handlers were like, "Oh, excuse me, who are you?" Like, why? Like, I'm like, "Yo, Pat, this is like what?" He's like, "Yo, let Adam in." I'm like, "What the fuck is going on around here?" You know?
He's made it.
He made it, and then anyway, we had a conversation.
Was
He's like,
this a year later or 2
this
years
is
later?
no, this is like 5 years later.
5 years later. Okay.
So, I'm a big advocate of playing the long game.
Gotcha.
Like, if you're trying to get rich quick, I can't help you. If you want to get rich slow, I got you.
So just so the people know the timeline, 2012 you meet him, about 2017 you run back into him, and now he has this whole detail with him. Okay.
Exactly. Something like that. Right around that time frame. You're absolutely right, Myron. And then he says, yo, 2016, because it was right around the election.
Okay.
It's like 4 years later. He goes, yo, have you started doing any content on social media? I go, no, I actually haven't. I was always that guy late to the game. Like, people had Friendster. I'm like, Friendster? Like, I got a fucking cell phone. I'll holler at my friends. You remember Friendster?
I don't even know
it was
what that
before MySpace.
Oh, shit.
Did you guys even have MySpace?
I had MySpace.
I had
Okay.
High Five. In Caribbean, that's what they have. High Five.
Okay.
What?
There it is. Shout out to the Caribbean MySpace. High five.
Yeah, man. You were in the Caribbean, so you wouldn't know.
So I was always late to the game on all this stuff. So by the time I got MySpace, people were like, MySpace? We're already on Facebook. I'm like, I just got MySpace. So by the time that people got onto Facebook, I'm like, oh my God, it like took me years. They're like, you're getting on Facebook. Everyone's on Instagram now. Dog. Like, I was always missing the boat. And by the time that I got onto Instagram, 2016.
Oh yeah, you're late.
Everyone was like, yo, like, don't try to like compete with the cool crowd. Like, you're gonna lose. Like, the cool kids have already done the yachts, the boats, the this, the that. Like, I've already done that. So if you're gonna do something on social media, do it with something business related, financial related, because nobody was really hitting that yet. So I had a conversation with Patrick. He's like, yo, you should start doing a money show. And basically what I started doing is I teamed up with my buddy who was a producer for CNN and CNBC. He's like, dude, take all my equipment. I'll give you some people. Go around and just start fucking interviewing anyone and everybody about money. And I started with interviewing financial advisors. Is that Jenny on the show? Hi, Jenny. Jenny Valdez in the house.
Oh, shit.
It's probably a troll.
Oh, no, it's a troll.
Oh, really? That's my girl. She just gave... this is...
That
is a troll.
Yeah, you'll see us soon.
What's so random?
You'll see soon.
I told you, bro.
What the fuck is
They be
going on?
trolling hard in here, bro.
They're trolling hard.
Adam, welcome
Anyway.
to Fresh and Fit. It's going to get much worse, my
Hey,
friend.
man, I realized the toughest people in the world are internet trolls. They are the toughest. Anybody tougher than, like, when Drake said, trigger fingers turned into Twitter fingers.
Yeah.
That's like fucking exactly what it is.
literally.
Soft ass. So, I started interviewing financial advisors like crazy. I'd go to these financial conferences. I'd go to one a month. All these guys I was doing business with. And I would say, hey, question for you, Bob, Rick, Jim, Susie, whatever. If you had one piece of advice for millennials when it comes to money, what would it be? And then I just chopped up all their responses. And the most common response was, save your money. Like, you're going to need it. Save your money. Save your money. And so many. And then obviously there was some other invest in real estate. And, this is pre-crypto. But everything revolved around saving, because when you can save, you can invest. So I got that. And then, you familiar with like juxtaposition? Like, there's one thing and there's one thing completely fucking opposite.
Yeah.
So I started going to events like Ultra here in Miami, Rolling Loud here in Miami. Shout out to my boys on Rolling Loud, Matt Zingler and Tariq Sharif. Anyways, I started going to these events, Coachella and Okeechobee, whatever, places where young people hang out. And I would ask them, like, save your money or spend that money. What do you think the most common response was at these festivals?
Spend that money for marketing.
Yo, spend that
else, social
shit.
media, let it
YOLO,
go.
live it up, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, oh, damn. The young people, the Gen Z, the millennials are just spending, making it rain.
Yep.
Or if you have like the old wealthy financial advisors that are basically saying, save your money, save your money. And I was like, okay, I'm on to something. And that became my mission. And
So you bridge the gap between the two generations.
yeah, and I basically call myself the oldest millennial, 1980, right? So I'm the oldest millennial. And I kind of, it's actually a phrase that I use from time to time. I kind of bridge the gap between the baby boomers and the older folks and the Gen Z. I kind of am like an uncle to like the 20-somethings out there. So
because you're right in that sweet spot, right in the middle where you're old enough to remember what life was like prior to all these technological conveniences, but you're also young enough to still be in tune to be on social media and understand the power of it.
So then I being born and raised in Miami and being formerly in the nightlife world and having some partnerships in some of the clubs down here, I still go out. So like during the week, I'm putting on the suit and tie, but during at night I'll go throw on my Timbs and I'll go out and do my thing. And I'm seeing.
What,
Nigga said
from
Tim,
Brooklyn
bro.
or what, bro?
I don't know. I just I saw Cole Anthony in the dunk contest yesterday, dunking in Tim's. So I don't know. I just thought about that, but yeah, that's something that I actually take a lot of pride in. Is that I understand the older people and like the more conservative, what have you. but I also kick it mostly with the younger. And don't forget, a lot of the girls I date are 10 years younger than me,
Of course,
let's say.
as they should be.
As they should be,
You
sir.
should not be dating no old hoes.
No, I understand where you're coming from. So anyway, it gives me a good, I guess, mindset, what it's like to be a little bit older, have some money, but also like, and don't forget, if I'm dating a girl who's, 10 years younger than me, who's 30 as an example, I'm friends with her friends. So I'm meeting guys who are 28, 29, 30, asking them questions. They haven't made it in their career yet.
So question, when you were doing those street, because that's a very unique niche. You were basically doing street interviews,
Yes.
but combining it with a financial aspect.
All
a
of
lot of
it.
people do street
Yeah.
interviews to get a reaction, prank, or
Yeah.
ask dating questions.
Yeah.
You were actually doing it to get
Thousands,
financial
like as
information.
many as you've probably interviewed here at this table, 1,000+ girls.
Yeah.
At least,
for
right?
sure. Yeah.
I've done that out and about at a million different areas,
Nice.
festivals, Ocean Drive, everything.
And
So
at this point, you're working for Valuetainment, doing it for that channel, right? Or were you still on your own?
I was just doing it on my own, just
okay.
an Instagram thing, Saz Talks Money, and that's kind of how it started. And then basically about 3 years ago, Pat and I really got into some dialogue about coming on to Valuetainment,
Okay.
and then so I've been with them for about 2 years now.
It
So
is
now I
not
work
easy.
exclusive with Valuetainment.
So you guys had stayed in contact for years and years.
10 years, bro.
because you knew each
10
other.
years.
Yo, that is
Yeah.
not easy, bro. Doing street interviews back to back, being that consistent, dude, that's a lot of pressure.
Yeah.
And to get outside and get up and do that every day,
Yeah.
it's not easy, bro.
And
It's not easy.
this kind of goes
Yeah.
down. This comes back. I always circle back to when I did stand-up comedy and when I did clubs. Like the worst thing you can be is just shy. I think Jordan Peterson said something to I'm going to butcher it, but Jordan Peterson said, "What's worse, your fear of failure or the fear of like paralyzing you, not able to
Of regret.
Of regret,
Yeah.
exactly. Thank
Fear
you.
of
The fear
failure
of regret.
or fear of regret.
I'd much rather fail and be like, fuck, at least I tried, than be an 80-year-old salty old bastard. It's like, I regret that I never,
Yeah.
like, there's nothing worse than that. So thank you for that.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that for me, it was always like, yo, use my stand-up comedy skills, use my networking skills, get out there, interview people. That's something that I'm, good at, quite frankly.
And networking
So
is very important, man.
the key is networking.
My boy,
Yeah, for
Yeah.
sure.
So,
That's
so you
your
mentioned.
That's your thing. I see you out in the streets, baby.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So you mentioned before you tell people, hey, save.
Yeah.
So what would you say to detractors, right? That say, well, you can't save yourself to be rich. A lot of
That's
people,
true. I actually
a lot
agree
of
with
people-
that.
Okay,
I would
so
say, I mean,
break it down for
for
people a
instance,
little
I'm not worth $10 billion. I'm worth $10 million. I'm worth $1.2 million. Like that's my net worth. It's very important to know your assets and your liabilities.
Very
your net
true.
worth are your assets minus your liabilities. I have very few liabilities. And as far as like saving, I would say 90% of my net worth is in investments. A lot of it's in the stock market. Some of it's in crypto. Some of it's in REITs. I know you invest in real estate. So
Yeah.
real estate investment trust. You don't have to buy property
True.
to invest in real estate. I don't own any property. I rent. I'm flexible. I keep my overhead low and my flexibility high. Like
Okay.
I'm just like, what's up? Where am I going? Where am I moving next? I'm hanging with Patrick. I'm moving to Miami. I'm doing this. So, but you can still invest in real estate through a REIT
Yes.
Without the hassle.
without having to actually fix the leaky faucets or whatever. So
And for the people out there,
Yeah.
guys, a REIT is basically an ETF that tracks the top real estate brokerages, essentially, and you get paid a
commercial real estate.
Commercial
It's called the real estate investment trust.
Yeah.
Like so, Grant Cardone, everyone at real estate.
Uncle G.
Uncle G, he's an advocate of not buying a property because it's not a cash flow asset. That's his thing. But he does invest in REITs, or he's put together the Cardone, 10x
Capital.
REIT, whatever.
Yeah.
And I don't know if that's a good REIT or a bad REIT. I just know he's doing that.
Oh, I
Oh,
didn't know he had
Torsha
his
in the
own
house. How you doing?
Oh yeah,
Um,
Rolo's in the house too. He said speaking. Of
My
networking
guy
and stuff.
Rolo,
Shout out to
thank you.
Tomasi. That's how we made this
exactly.
happen.
Thank you,
Yep.
Rolo. Gratitude to you, my
We'll talk
friend.
about that too.
For sure. But yeah, so at the end of the day, I'm taking, people are like, well, so what's the difference between you and like Dave Ramsey? It's like, no, a lot of the stuff that he talks about, I agree with. But if you kind of substitute all the, like, he's very biblical and
Yes.
conservative, but there's some decent financial advice there. I kind of have some similar financial advice, but it's very pop culture driven,
Yeah.
celebrity driven. We can get into who I know and what I did with the nightlife and all that stuff. But at the end of the day, so I've boiled down finance. So when I started asking questions, I was like, okay, cool. Like, all right, so save. All right, cool. You can't. One of the things I'll say to your point, Myron, is you can't save your way to becoming a millionaire.
Yeah.
You're gonna have to
For sure.
invest. But in order to invest, you need to save. So when I started asking all these questions, I basically realized, hold on, there's like a handful of specific principles that you need to master in order to win the money game, because it's a money game out there. Just like it's the dating game, it's the money game. Everything's a game, and you got to win it. That's capitalism. So I boiled it down to these 6 principles. And yeah, certainly one of them is saving, and another one is in investing, and we can go over what those things are. But the name of the game is to end up what's called chilling. So right now, I'm chilling. And now because I still have my job at the hedge fund, and that's just money, income coming in.
Autopilot.
I found my niche.
Do you work full time doing that?
Yeah, full time with that
Okay,
still.
so you work for the hedge fund and you're doing the YouTube stuff on the side.
It's like how you do Fresh and Fit, during the day, but then at night you're doing the after hours thing. I'm trying to use an analogy
Fair
here.
enough.
But yeah, so I have
So you
2
still
careers
go
going on.
Monday through Friday working for the hedge
I
fund.
haven't worked there in the office in 7 years. So I've been working
Autopilot.
remotely. So like if no one told me a pandemic was going on in 2020, I would have just still been working away at home and just like
Gotcha.
doing my thing. So
you're working for this hedge fund now,
Yeah. Still.
and doing the YouTube grind.
Yes.
So your earned income, I'm assuming, is coming from that
Correct.
hedge fund. And
Yes.
is that what you live off of, or do you get your dividends back from the stock market and your investments?
I reinvest all my
Okay.
dividends, so I don't touch the stock market.
enough.
The whole point
Smart.
of investing is hopefully that you don't have to touch it, because if you're following these so I'll just tell you these 6 principles I have is like,
Let's do it.
okay, so if you want to win the money game, you need to have a game plan for your money. A lot of people will call that a budget or cash flow, and within that budget, you need to understand your income and your expenses. Income is what's coming in the door. Expenses are what's going out the door. So analogy that I always use is like, I don't know if people are sports fans out there, but the Phoenix Suns in the early 2010s, it was Steve Nash, Amari Stoudemire,
Yeah.
these guys. They'd put up 125 points
Running
a game,
and gunning, baby.
running and gunning.
Everyone
The problem
shooting.
was they
Fast
gave
break.
up 126.
Yep.
So they're putting up all these fucking points. So it's like the equivalent of a guy who makes 200 grand but spends 210 grand a year. So I don't care if you're making 50, I don't care if you're making 80, you have to spend less than you make. But it's all about having a budget, and it's because this is Money Mondays, right? We'll just kind of break this down. Within your budget, whoever's listening to has the same big 3 expenses. I don't care who you are, what you do. Everyone has their housing, their transportation, and their food and beverage. Exactly. If you can manage those 3 things and get those under control, obviously you have all, additional expenses. You'll understand your budget, and your net worth will increase. So that's number 1 to win the money game, is you got to understand the cash flow, the budget, however you want to call it, have a game plan for your money. Number 2, before you can win the money game, don't lose. So this is where things can maybe get a little controversial, is my opinion. The worst 4-letter word that you can possibly have is debt, DEBT, debt. Now, is there decent debt, like mortgages, potentially? Yes, but it's still negative interest rates. But then you get into credit cards, car loans, what I call the C's of debt, consumer loans, credit cards, personal loans, college loans, cribs, which are basically mortgages. You don't know what the fuck you're doing.
Marriage.
And then marriage, that's a whole nother thing.
Stupid.
And then the worst type of debt you can possibly find yourself in, the C's of debt, are cash advances. These are basically payday loans where you're getting just lynched by the payday loan company for 400%.
Loan
It's just
sharks, etc.
It's disgusting. So I ask people, all right, how much debt do you have? All right, I got 40 grand worth of debt. What's the interest rate? Man, I don't even know. You don't know the interest rate?
Oh, God.
Like, go on I'll never forget. It was a college basketball player that was staying with my buddy who played in the NBA. He was staying with him, and he's like, yo, talk to Adam. He'll G you up when it comes to money. He's like, oh, okay, cool. What's up? I'm like, he owned like $2 grand on his credit card. He's like, what should I do? I go, what's the interest rate? He goes, I don't know. I go, pull it up. He pulls up his Chase account, looks at it, and he goes, 24.9%. I go, do you have any idea how bad that is? He goes, no. I go, it's the fucking worst. It's like the highest they can charge you.
Seriously.
So anyway, understand the amount.
That's the scary part. It's
Variable
it's
interest
not
rates.
standard.
So understand how bad you're losing the interest rate game. You can either lose the interest rate game, debt, right? How bad it is, or win the interest rate game, which is investing. So understand your debt. Basically, I have a whole budgeting. If you want to go on to Valuetainment, we can have the link. I'll send all this stuff. But basically, the name of the debt, the amount of the debt, the interest rate. All right, cool. So you have a game plan for your money. You understand that number 1 have a game plan. You understand. Number two, don't lose. Like I being that I was a football player in college and hang out with a lot of athletes, I like to use sports analogies. Debt is like basically turnovers in football. It's pick sixes, interceptions, getting sacked, fumbles, the whole freaking thing.
You're no longer on offense. You're on defense.
Exactly. Exactly. Thank
you.
You
lose the ball, you lose your
field
mind,
position.
essentially.
You're going backwards. So debt is losing the interest rate game. So once you can basically figure out your debt and figure out your cash flow, you can start save that money.
Damn.
And basically, the stats are ridiculous these days. 3 out of 4 people are living paycheck to paycheck. 50% of Americans don't have $500 for an emergency.
Yeah.
40% of Americans don't have $1,000 to their name.
Yep.
And 90% of Americans buy things they can't afford. So it's just like it's a pandemic of just personal finance. We all go to school. We all take the same useless classes: biology, algebra, chemistry, trigonometry. No fucking money classes.
Nope.
So it took me 10 years of finance to basically be like, oh shit, this is what it is. This is what it is. Okay, all right, why didn't they tell me that? Of like piecing this all together as a former nightlife guy, comedian who turned into a financial guy. Like I had to learn on the go. And then once you can save, so I tell people for the most part, stack 10 G's.
Okay.
90% of Americans cannot even get to that amount.
Yeah.
Okay. So if you're like the one person in the audience that's like 10 G's, bro, my monthly nut is 10 G's. Okay, amazing. You're awesome. You're killing it.
Yep.
Save 50 G's, whatever it is. So most people tell you to save, 3 to 6 months, 12 months for an emergency fund, a rainy day fund, a cushion. Dude, I'm the type of person that's like, save 2 years, bro. Once you stack up cash and you start investing, here's the trick. Once you can stack up enough cash and you start investing, the goal is when you start investing is to never have to pull that cash out.
There you go.
Right.
Because you can get the compound interest effect. So if you guys familiar with the financial company Vanguard?
Of course.
Yeah.
Okay, so Vanguard.
I got an account with them.
I got an account
Respect. Awesome. They're a great company. So I read the founder of their company is called Jack Bogle. So I read his book called The Boglehead's Guide to Investing.
He created the index fund, didn't he?
Exactly.
Bam,
so
baby.
boom, index funds,
He did an interview
mutual
with,
funds.
What's the guy's name? The speaker, the white guy, Tony Robbins.
Jack Bogle did
Yeah,
before he passed. You're saying
I think he did.
he's
something
old
like-
as shit. I think he died a few years ago. He did die a few years ago.
I
He was
think he
90
created
something.
if I'm not mistaken, he created the index fund in like the 1970s.
Correct.
And the only reason this is fresh in my head, guys, I studied all this stuff in early February on my birthday. I was like, all right, in 2022, I'm going to get, as you guys know, I'm in crypto and real estate. I was like, I'm going to get into the stock market now.
Yeah.
So I took like 24 hours where I just studied nothing but index funds and ETFs, and I'm all indexed out.
Smart.
There you go.
That's
But
smart.
anyway,
Listen to Myron, yo.
terrible joke. But yeah, can you break it down for the people real
Yeah.
quick?
So
what those are?
I read his book. I've read too many books to name when it comes to finance, and I'm not a huge reader. I'm not like I'm a geek. I'm gonna read like I'm just a club guy.
Yeah.
But I've definitely found a passion for reading about this kind of stuff. So I read his book called The Boglehead's Guide to Investing. And essentially, I'll break it down like this. He kind of hypes it up. He's like, y'all ready to invest? Who's ready to invest? Like, let me get some hands up. Who's ready to invest? And I'm like, yo, me, motherfucker. Like, I want to invest, And he's like, well, before you do that, do these 3 things. And essentially, he's like, make sure you eliminate all your high interest credit card debt.
Yeah.
Have a game plan for your money, a budget. And then what he also says, obviously stack cash, but here's the kicker. Go from having a paycheck mentality to a net worth mentality. 75% of Americans are living paycheck to paycheck. They can't think a month down the road, 3 months down the road, a year down the road. Once you've stacked enough cash, you can kind of like sit back and be like, all right, what do I want to do 6 months from now, a year from now? And that's the power of investing, is when you can stack that cash. That's why I say save that money is so important, because once you can get over that save portion and get to the investing portion, sky's the limit. So
just so for the people so they understand, get that 6 months to 2 years of savings.
I mean, for me,
somewhere.
I'm a big advocate of saving more than you think you need.
Okay. So so we'll say 2 years, right?
I would
Being
say, let's
conservative.
just say a year.
Okay,
Sure.
a year. And I agree with you 100% that 6 months is bare minimum, 3 months
Bare
is
minimum.
nothing, and
3 months is nothing.
nothing. And then
Bare
a
minimum
year
6 months.
Is
I would recommend a year, and if you're like me and you just want to stack,
2 years. even
2
better.
years, and then you have enough cushion, you don't have to worry about investing.
So you keep that money fiat, whatever it is. So you have so it's
fiat.
liquid. You got it at all
Yes.
times. Then you take everything past that, and it's immediately invested
Yes.
into, in your case, the stock market. So can you tell the people a little bit about what an index fund
Sure.
is, an ETF is, and then what you personally have?
Sure. So I started the people are like, oh my God, that's so boring. Yeah, sometimes boring works. I started with getting a 401k straight up. I got a 401k through work, for the financial firm, the hedge fund.
Yep.
And, they match it. So every year I'm maxing out my 401k. I think the max these days, it was 18,000. Now it's 19,000. So some people might say, dude, I can't put 18,000 into a 401k every year. All right, what can you put? 1,000, 2,000, 5,000? Start with something, right?
And I'm assuming your firm, just real quick, do they match your?
They match, exactly. They match up to, I believe 6%.
Nice.
Correct.
Okay.
So I'm getting another, 5 Gs, whatever it is, from the firm. So every year I'm getting 25 grand, whatever the number is, into my 401k. And I've been doing that since 2008. So my 401k's got $500,000 in it. I can't touch it.
Yeah.
I can't touch it, but by the time, if you trend it out to the time I'm 70, it's going to be like $6 million in my goddamn 401k. Can't touch it.
It's lit.
Okay, so that's the basics. That's okay, the sandwich. We need to start
Step
with the
one.
bread, right? So then I do now I can't contribute this amount anymore because I, quite frankly, make too much than the threshold, but you can get a Roth IRA. So if you can't do a 401k, do a Roth IRA.
But you could do a SEP, right? A SEP IRA?
A SEP, that's also another, exactly. Like a SEP, now you're taking it to another fucking level
That's
here.
what I'm doing right now.
Yeah, exactly. So, hello. All these things. So my whole thing is look, I'm not going to tell you whether you should do a 401k, a Roth IRA, a Roth 401k, a backdoor SEP 401k, a single employee retirement. Just do something.
Right.
Okay, just do so. Even if you're a real estate investor, you don't want all your money tied up in an illiquid asset. You want to have some liquidity even at retirement. So that's where I say to start. Then after that, after a Roth IRA is probably the best thing, unless you can get a match 401k at work. And then
So one lowers your tax liability, and then the other one you can pull tax free.
Correct. Your 401k is pre-tax, and 401k is post-tax. So on my 401k down the road, it's growing tax-free now. I'll pay capital gains tax, when I'm 70 years old.
You pull it out.
My
So
Roth
that $6
IRA,
million, you'll have to pay a capital tax.
whatever it
Who
is,
cares?
but I'm not paying tax now, and it's lowering my tax bracket now. Correct. A Roth IRA, it's after-tax dollars. So it's your money. You can't touch the gains. You can't. So if you put in $5,000 and it grows to 10 grand, you can take out $5,000. It's yours.
Yeah.
You can't touch that $5,000. Or there's going to be penalties, taxes, what have you. But that's the basics.
And
That's
for my government people out there, this is your thrift savings account, guys.
Yeah,
It's the
thrift
same exact
savings
thing.
account,
It's
exactly.
TSP, it's the same thing whether you're military, law enforcement,
All
whatever.
that.
Same thing, guys.
all that. And then, from there, that's vanilla ice cream, chocolate ice cream. Then if you want to throw in some Rocky Road, some swirls, I have my brokerage account with Vanguard and another one with
Can you tell
Fidelity.
people what you have in your portfolio?
Dude, I'm a big index fund guy.
Damn.
I'm an S&P 500 guy. People are like, what's your hot stock? It's like, I don't fucking know. I really don't. And you know who else doesn't know? Nobody.
Facts.
Thank you.
Every fund. So the whole concept of the index fund that Jack Bogle created.
Yeah.
And, Warren Buffett, you know what Warren Buffett challenged all these active traders.
Yes, like $1 million.
Yeah, I said, I'll give you $1 million a piece if you can beat the S&P 500.
Yep.
He won every single time.
Yeah.
So
I think they beat it like 1 year out of 5. And these were
whatever
the
it
best.
was, these are the best of the best of the best, and they
Harvard
couldn't beat
grads.
just the normal index. So here's what I'll say: who won the Super Bowl this year? Okay,
Rams.
the fucking Rams.
Yeah.
And they were against Cincinnati.
Yep.
If you would have told me at the beginning of the season that Cincinnati freaking Bengals were going to be in the Super Bowl, no one would believe it. They were like they had the worst odds in the entire league.
Yeah.
The Rams were supposed to be okay, but if basically the analogy that I'm getting at is, if you were going to put your money on the Patriots or the Kansas City Chiefs or the Green Bay Packers, you would have lost.
Yep.
Straight up.
Yep.
But the whole point of an index fund is stop trying to pick the one or two teams you think is going to win. Just buy the NFL. Just buy the NFL. And some teams are going to do well and some teams are going to shit the bed, but you're betting on the NFL. So essentially an index fund or an S&P 500 is you're betting on America.
The top 500 companies.
500 companies in the United States.
So go ahead.
No, go.
All I was going to say was just for the people, I always say, think of it as if you want to get an Oreo cookie and Chips Ahoy and maybe another cookie, right? If you buy one Oreo, it's going to be $5. But if you buy an index fund of Oreo, Chips Ahoy, etc., small pieces of it you can buy it at a cheaper price versus paying $5 for that Oreo. Now you could pay $2 and own a portion of it, as well as a bunch of other cookies in there, that's going to lower your risk, right?
Yes.
Because if you buy one individual cookie, you're staking all your money in
Correct.
that cookie. So an index fund, guys, with the S&P 500, take the 500 top companies in the United States, and you're basically diversifying your risk among the top 500 companies. So all of them would have to fail for you to lose all your money, and in that case, well, it's probably the judgment day.
You hit the nail on the head, Myron.
I would say there's one clause here. If you do invest in Chewy, you won't go wrong. So invest in Chewy right now.
Shout out Chewy.
Get canned dog food because it's gonna happen.
Yo,
in the
I ain't
future.
gonna lie, I spent $1,000 on Chewy just to fucking troll, and it
Yeah.
went up. It's down now because the market is crashing.
Yeah.
But yeah, dude, it's going up.
We have a joke because there's gonna be a lot of single women out there, and they have a lot of cats and dogs. So
Yeah.
We invest in pet food.
food.
Okay. I hope
That's
that
the-
stock goes up.
That's the only individual stock I have. But normally,
Yeah.
guys, I do not. I'm
Yeah.
not a financial advisor,
Yeah.
whatever. But most guys that are even trained, bro, you shouldn't be dealing with individual stocks for
Yeah.
90% of you guys.
I agree. I mean, do I have a couple individual stocks? I have Disney, I have Tesla, but that's not
it's
like
gonna
if
stand
it
the
goes
test of
up,
time.
it goes down. I'm not freaking out.
Yeah.
But for the most part, buy every cookie in Publix or
Yeah.
in the drugs in the supermarket.
Do you have
Buy
any-
every cookie.
So you track the S&P 500. Do you
Yes.
have any index funds that track the entire stock market or the U.S. stock
The
market?
total market fund, total market broad
VF
index fund.
IAX, I think it is.
Yeah,
Is
I
the
think you're
total
right.
market?
Well, Vanguard, you're saying.
Yeah, for Vanguard. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The whole thing is that, I'm not giving financial advice. This is just common sense advice,
yes.
right? So it's diversification, it's asset allocation, and like the whole thing with investing is the younger you are, the more risk you can take, the more stocks you could have. The older you are, the more bonds you need to have. At the end of the day, they say there's only 3 major asset classes. Now, crypto is definitely one of them these days, but before that, it was either cash, stocks, and bonds. And the younger you are, the more stocks you have, the more risk you can have. The older you are, the more bonds. Like if you're grandma and you're 80 years old and you're like, yo, to the moon, baby, Dogecoin. It's like, grandma, don't do that
Yeah,
shit,
no, hell
okay?
no.
Yeah.
Be in bonds, like take it conservative. But the younger you are, you could kind of risk it. But you need to spread the risk out.
And real quick for you guys, so I'm double checking. I'm sorry, it's VT-SAX is the Vanguard Total Stock Market Index, and then I also have VOO, which tracks the S&P 500, and that's an ETF. And the only difference, guys, between a ETF and an index fund is that the ETF can be traded like a stock.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You can get it on the exchange versus an index fund. You got to typically go through a brokerage and buy their version of the index fund. But all
Correct.
the index funds are like the same, whether it's Charles Schwab,
Fidelity.
Fidelity, etc. They have their own index that tracks the S&P 500,
Yeah.
tracks the total market, whatever. You can't go wrong with any of them. It's just that I picked Vanguard because that's the longest, but I think Fidelity lets you actually do it with almost like no fees.
Yeah, exactly.
Nowadays,
I have
so they can compete with
exactly.
Vanguard.
That's true. So, I mean, the days, here's what I always say, because I know we're on investing now, and I'll give you the last 2 of the 6 principles. Back in the day, in the 90s, let's say, I try to compare to today to the 90s.
And real quick, guys, we will read the super chats. Don't worry. Adam's giving you guys a lot of heat. I don't want to interrupt them, so go ahead, bro. And then
Yeah,
we'll
we
read
can
the chats.
stop. We can start at any point. No, all
please.
good. And so basically, in the 90s, who was the poster child of Wall Street in the 90s? Fucking
Jordan Belfort.
Jordan Belfort, the
Yeah.
Wolf of Wall Street.
Wall Street.
So is he a fun guy? Would I want to party with him if I'm on a yacht with that guy? If he's got chicks, he's got cocaine, he's fucking partying fun. Hell yeah. Am I giving that guy my money? Hell no. Okay. So back in the day, for those of us 40 plus that remember this, or our parents, you used to have to pick up the phone and talk to your stockbroker, and your stockbroker would try to tell you what pick he liked,
Yeah.
and sell you the hot stock that Merrill Lynch or UBS or Goldman Sachs or Credit Suisse or whoever, Deutsche Bank, told him that's the hot stock to start pushing. Yeah. And you're just following fucking what a stockbroker, if you can catch him. And sometimes you have to leave a message. And if you've ever left a voicemail for a stockbroker, he says, trades are not authorized on voicemail. Please contact me during working hours. Like the whole thing.
Yeah.
That no longer exists. That barrier to entry to invest for the common investor no longer exists.
Yep.
You used to have to go through a guy like a Jordan Belfort, whether you can trust him or not, in order to enter the stock market. So the barrier to entry is now obsolete. Now anyone can get a robo-advisor with Betterment or Wealthfront or Acorns or any of the companies we've listed, or an index fund or a target date fund. It's just so much easier these days.
Yep.
The trick is, don't try to think that you're smarter than the market.
Yeah.
Don't try to find a little hot stock and get rich on it. You're probably not going to win. That's why I said at the beginning, like, I like getting rich slow. I started investing in 2008 And it took me, a handful of years, but boom, I look at my account, I'm like, holy shit, it's working $1.2 million. This is crazy.
Baby.
So
what's your view on automation? Because I know a lot of companies that use algorithms now to like trade for them. What's your view on automations?
if you're an individual investor,
Yeah.
So for an individual investor, the one thing you should automate is that, 10% of your paycheck just boom goes right to your 401k. That shit should be automated. So the difference between savings and investing is savings you actually have to do. Yo, should I buy those new Jordans? Nah, let me save that money. Boom. Like you actually have to do that. With investing, you could just automate it where 5% of your paycheck goes right to your 401k. 5% of your paycheck goes right to your IRA, whatever it is.
Yeah.
So automation versus, having to do it yourself, that's the difference between saving and investing.
Okay, so we covered a lot. You know what? I'll read these chats before I ask this next question. We're gonna have a great conversation. As you guys can see, this is why we got Adam in the house. Shout out to fucking
There
you
go.
Machine, baby. Hope you guys are taking a lot of value from this.
Adam
We still got more to
Sandler?
talk about.
Okay.
1 to 3. Glad you guys have Adam on. The Valuetainment show FNF was great. The Latina chick was shocked to hear men think. Absolutely, man. A real pro. Adam was my substitute teacher like Chris. Difference is they could understand him.
Yeah, sorry, Chris.
Elbow
sorry
Ace,
about that.
$10. Let's get Patrick on the show. Hey, man,
Yeah,
we
we
gonna
do
try
what
to
we
make it
can.
happen
Yeah.
for y'all.
I'll see.
Local focal sales, I agree. At 10 years to your age as a man. Facts. Jenny Valdez. Hey, Adam, awesome guy, but I'm here for Walter. Holy, looks so good in that Amiri and jewelry. Love my chocolate man, BBC.
I gotta tell you, that's not Jenny
is not
Valdez.
her,
yeah.
That's why that's so
Rod
fake.
Eric, FNF Dallas meetup. Vote Dallas, Texas. Shout out to you.
Oh man.
$5 local focal. How rich can a McDonald's employee get from saving? Don't worry, we'll
Not
talk about
rich
that.
at all.
Local folk. Yeah, we answered that already. Anthony Robbins said, The weight regret of pain now versus pain later. Bring Anthony Robbins on the show. Okay. $2, Sebastian. Can you recommend some REITs? We're going to talk about that here in a second. Mystics Media. Do you sell Fresh and Fit hoodies without the writing on the back? Yes, I just put them in the store just now, guys. Go on there, FreshandPodcast.com. It doesn't have Sim to Pimp on it anymore, so you won't get kicked out of your classroom or work. Michael Meestroke, hit the like button. Thank you so much. You guys, we got 3,000 plus y'all in here.
Like the video.
Also, let's cut the. We're gonna go right to YouTube only, guys. We're gonna cut the Twitch stream and the Twitter stream. So come on over to YouTube. YouTube.com /FreshFit. Okay, or Fresh and Fit. Search us on there. All right. So we'll kill Twitch right now, and then we're also gonna kill Twitter, guys. So check us out on YouTube, Fresh and Fit together. Okay,
and
cool.
P-Hub.
Yes, and P-Hub. I hope not.
I gotta tell you, I'm super impressed with just all this. I'm watching all these things. Like, you guys have no idea what these guys are doing behind the scenes. So these super chats are very helpful for these guys. Keep doing it.
Thank you, guys.
Doc Hancock.
Shout out to Fresh and Fit and Chris in the back. No one working as hard as y'all, and Fresh Ninja take me outside to network. Okay.
Actually, he came on a yacht with
he
us
did?
with the girls in networking. It was pretty dope. So shout out to you, Doc Hancock.
Gingerbread Man, you see the shrimps that got finessed by Alana Rose for $1.5 million after she rug pulled her NFT scam? I mean, project. This is why you guys are needed. We got y'all, man. Don't believe these 304s. Local focal sales. This guy's like every self-mastery plus sales book ever. Listen to your boys read books on wealth development, management, sales, and implementation with speed. Okay. King Kareem, I see that someone's been reading Set for Life. $2. Thoughts on FHA loan trying to buy first real estate property and what banks/credit unions are a good start. FHA loans are fantastic to help you get your first property. Do it.
Yep, I did.
JP Silva, $10. Are you guys joining Truth Social, Trump's new app where you can literally have free speech about anything, potentially? Camino Kill 12. Big Mo, you did an amazing job earlier. Shout out to Chris for doing more than anyone realizes, and shout out to Discord gang. FNF, we up. Absolutely.
That's
Shout out to
facts.
Mo.
Nigga,
And then last two
good job.
here. Broderick Daniel. Yo, Mark, thoughts on NFT/crypto?
Nigga, who's Mark?
I think he means Adam. And then No Trust, whole life insurance policy plus Roth 401k cheat code. All right, so guys, from this point forward, just so that we can make sure that we streamline the show,
Well,
we're going to
have,
read
a few more. Like
a few more?
entertainment.
Oh,
Okay.
Rolo Tomasi's here too.
we're only going to read 20 and up from this point forward, guys.
Yep.
But all super chats will be shown on screen. So thank you guys so much for the support. Your chat will be shown on air. Strong bags, but we'll only read the 21s. What about crypto? I retired from last year from crypto. Great for you, Strong
And
bags.
Tycoon.
Anti-Coon, fun fact, the guy won $580K on a $20 bet. I won to 1,900 odds and won to 220,000 odds. Rams was versus Bucks and Chiefs versus Bengals with a 3-point spread. He guessed the score of the game as well. All right, cool.
Jeez.
Glad to see Adam here. Watched a few episodes of Sauce Podcast and enjoyed it. Adam is a great moderator. Enjoy your introduction to RP Adam. You'll fit right in. City Boys Web. Yes, he's a great moderator, by the way, guys. Bro Reviews. If your advice, is it better to lease or purchase a car/truck? We'll talk about that potentially at the end. Richie Hustles. I personally I like high yield dividend stocks, 4% plus. We're going to talk about the REITs here in a second. Albo Ace, $10. If you're able to leave a job, where would the best place to put your 401k from said job into? pull it out and invest into my index funds, create a Roth IRA, or transfer funds to a different 401k. It depends on what you're comfortable with, guys. So like when I separated from the government, I took my money out of that IRA account, that thrift savings account, and I used it to buy my first real estate property, which I was able to then leverage and get more properties. Okay, DL Saint, $100, great show. Second show of the day. I see y'all working hard, and y'all have a 0.013% brother at the table. Definitely got PBD in the
Shout
show.
out to
PBD
Rolo,
from the front, gentlemen. Yeah, that's what your number got, right?
Yeah, exactly.
And then thank you, Saint.
DL Saint, man.
And then Rational Mail, $10. Get rich slow. How many times have I told you guys exactly this? Very true. You have.
Yep,
And
all
then
the
Tap
time.
In Production. Shout out to Roll Tomasi. Go subscribe to the channel, by the way, guys. Tap In Productions. What was that, Chris?
Oh, sorry. All right.
Buy Amazon stock. Okay. Well, I mean, it's a little. Yeah, well, it's crashing right now, so it probably wouldn't be too bad to buy. So, can you tell the people what you have in your portfolio as far as like ETFs and index funds? Which specific ones? I know you got the S&P 500, which is what?
Yeah.
Blue probably, or
What's that?
is it VOO, or do you use the?
Well, it's the Fidelity one. So it's
So it's the Fidelity ETF or
it's the
Fidelity index?
Fidelity. Well, I actually have an active trade. Sorry, it's not an index fund with Fidelity. I have a mutual fund with Fidelity. It's the. Forgive me if I don't know the exact Fidelity.
Where it tracks the S&P 500.
Yeah, exactly. It tracks the S&P 500.
Not an ETF.
Not an ETF.
Okay,
no,
that's
I actually
fine.
don't own
That's
any ETFs.
Okay, no.
I have a target date fund
I'll find
with
it right now.
Vanguard on the 401k. I have index funds and my Roth IRA. Ultimately, everything kind of tracks the broad market index fund or the S&P 500. That's the whole getting it back to the Boglehead book. It's like, it's okay when it comes to investing, it's okay to be boring. You know,
Absolutely.
like to use the whole Jordan Belfort thing, that guy made investing fun and sexy and wild, and everyone else got their money stolen and lost their money. So the get rich slow thing actually works. I've seen it myself. You know, so there's always going to be people saying, well, actually, you know, there's a better rate of return with that index fund. And then I don't know, what are the expense ratios in this? And
FXAIX.
I don't know. I can want me to pull it up.
No, you don't have
Okay.
to, but yeah, that's I see here it's Fidelity 500 index fund.
There's so many different things.
Yeah.
And the
Fidelity's good.
The number one thing, it's not the rate of return, it's not the expense ratio, it's not, you know, the low load fees when it comes to investing. It's none of that. It's, are you actually putting money in the fucking account? You know, it's, are you putting in 10 grand a year? Are you putting in 5 grand a year? It's always the person who doesn't put money in and they're like, well, that's bullshit. You can get a higher rate of return somewhere else. It's like, Bug, you're broke as shit.
Yeah.
You haven't even started investing yet.
Yeah.
There's always like, it's kind of like the, you know, trigger fingers turn to Twitter fingers. It's always the people who aren't doing shit that want to critique and correct every little tiny little thing that you're doing. Where it's like,
The more money you put in, the more you get out, man. Because that's how you
Exactly.
can seriously like use the compound interest to like snowball your fucking money.
Correct.
You know, I know guys that are putting in like 10K a month. He's gonna have millions in there. You know what I'm
100%.
saying?
Also, the confidence, man. Imagine this: you're putting money into your future, right? So when you step outside now, you're secure. You can go forward, thinking clearly, and the debt you mentioned earlier isn't on your mind. So now you're
Correct.
thinking straightforward.
I haven't thought about debt since I paid off my student loans 5 years ago. I have not thought about debt. I do have a credit card. I pay it off every month. Done. So
And people say you can't buy confidence.
What are
Shake
the-
my head.
got the confidence.
Adam, what are the REITs that you have? One of the guys asked about it.
So there's a company called Fundrise.
Okay.
You ever heard of Fundrise? I don't want to start plugging their company until they start paying me a
You don't
dividend.
have to
But,
mention it,
but
yeah.
basically,
Yeah.
there's a couple different REITs that you can get through
That's
that
the one you
company.
use.
But yeah,
And the good thing about REITs is, from what I've been told, they give typically the best dividends payback if that's what you're looking for. Which honestly, I mean, you really shouldn't be looking for. But some people do want they just want to put a bunch of money into that and not necessarily hold real estate because they don't want to deal with you know fucking tenants and shit.
The headache.
But
here's what I'll say about real estate. And people are always like, "Oh, you got to have real estate. You got to have real estate." And I get it. Eventually, I will, you know, buy a place. But real estate is not a part-time job. If you're gonna do real estate, you have to do fucking real estate. Like anyone who's like, yeah, I just buy a property and you know it's on autopilot. Yeah, right.
No.
So for me, it's all about bandwidth. It's okay, if I'm buying a piece of property and I got to get a property manager or I got to manage it myself and fix it up and do all that. Yes, there is money to be made for sure if you do it the right way. But you're an active investor, right? So I know you said that you have properties up in Connecticut.
But I have a manager.
Exactly.
Which is exactly.
And you
I
have
was gonna
family,
agree
like,
with you, yeah.
but like if you didn't have a man, let's say you bought property in Connecticut, but you had to fly up to Connecticut
bro.
every time something
Terrible.
happened, you'd be miserable.
It would be terrible.
So, you know, dude, I'm 99% of my friends are married with kids. Like they're all 38, 39, 40, 42, whatever they are. They all own their houses. And I asked them 1 through 10, how do you like being a homeowner? Some are like, yeah, it's good. Like a 9. Like I love it. Some are like, dude, it's a fucking 3. Like every other day there's a leak in something breaks. I fucking hate it. And so
Taxes.
there's always something. I got to redo something. So it's like, it's not just like I bought a property and I'm a real estate guy and that's how it works. It's no, there's different, that's kind of like, so for instance, there's day trader and there's a decade trader. There's timing the market, try to time the market and get in and get out, which is impossible to do.
Yeah.
Or there's time in the market. That's me. So the day traders are kind of like just, all right, they got lucky on a stock and then they lost money and it's like the crypto trader, they're in, they're out. That's to me, that's just nonsense. You're never going to get ahead like that. That's kind of like trying to get rich quick. And some people do, let's say 1 out of 100, but 99, they're going to lose.
Yeah.
The people that try to get rich slow, use compound interest, eighth wonder of the world, max out their 401ks, max out their Roth IRA, do it the right way. Over time, those guys are going to win.
It's a very safe way to build wealth. And you know, people like to criticize like Gordon Ramsay for advocating for that too, you know, getting rid of debt.
Dave Ramsey.
Dave Ramsey. Gordon Ramsay.
The chef.
What the hell am I talking about? Sorry, guys, I haven't slept all day, yo. Gordon Ramsay. Yeah, Gordon Ramsay. What the fuck am I talking about? Dave Ramsey.
Stupid.
Thank you. Dave Ramsey. He's been waiting all day for that one. You know, he gives, you know, people say, oh, it's too conservative.
Yeah.
He doesn't take risk or whatever, but honestly, his advice is good for like 95% of Americans that have a spending problem.
Yeah.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Like,
But you know what's funny? A lot of millionaires that I'm meeting now, like they don't own property. They have a condo, a dope condo that they work from, but they put
That they
money into,
rent?
like, things
Or what do
that
they
they
do?
rent.
Yeah.
But what they invest in is like stuff online that they don't have to manage.
Correct.
And they have freedom. They could go anywhere in the world.
Correct.
They're free, but their money is tied up in assets that are online.
Very similar to what I do.
Yeah.
Because you can take your investment portfolio wherever you want in the
It's
world. You
true
can't
freedom.
take your real estate property. Exactly.
Yeah.
So this is what I always say is that keep your expenses low and your flexibility high. You know, the American dream at one point was buy a house, white picket fence, 2.5 kids, 2 dogs, work at the same company for 40 years. You retire, they give you a watch, you get a pension, you know, and you ride off in the sunset and, you know, you retire at 62 and you die by 65. These days, the American dream is whatever the fuck you want to make it.
yeah.
You do whatever you want. So I found myself being what I call chilling at age 35. And it's like, what do I want to do with my free time? And that's, you know, I talk about these 6 principles. You know, number 4 is investing and, you know, compound interest and everything with that. And I have invested in crypto. We could talk about that.
Yes.
Number 5 to me is protecting your biggest asset, which is, so I ask people this. So I'll ask you, Walt, what's your biggest asset? Like if you add it all up, what's your biggest asset?
Right now, real estate.
Okay, so what do you own?
Property.
Okay, so you own property. So that's your biggest asset. What's your biggest asset?
My property.
Okay,
Sure.
so your property. So
7.
what if I were to tell you that you're both wrong? You're gonna look at me like, what are you talking about? Your biggest asset
Is yourself?
is you.
Hey,
know,
okay,
yo,
you're right.
Okay, I'm telling you, your biggest asset is that every day, every week, every year, you're going to be coming and doing this fucking podcast. And it's obviously blowing up and it's only going to blow up even more.
Yeah.
So your ability to work and earn an income is invaluable. It's worth millions and millions and millions and millions and millions of dollars.
True.
Not whatever your, you know, $1 million property is, right?
Yeah.
So your ability, so when I talk about protecting your biggest asset, what is that? That's insurance. So whether that's health insurance, disability insurance, life insurance, these aren't exactly sexy things to talk about, but God forbid, you know, you get fucking throat cancer.
Yeah.
How do you do a podcast if you can't speak?
True.
Okay.
Do a sign language in
Yeah.
there.
Fresh. Act fresh.
So, you know,
what?
We do it every day.
Just so you know, I've been taking classes for my speech. It's improved a lot more, and I'm getting better. So
you're doing great.
Fuck you, Chris.
Got them both.
Stop the cap.
Yeah.
So that, you know, that's the 5th element of this principles that we're talking about. And then what I talk, and so I'll circle back to my initial comments about when I started interviewing all these people, and I'm basically saying, you know, I went to this one, it's called an estate planning conference. So an estate planning conference is like, are you familiar with the estate tax? So the estate tax is like when you die,
Oh.
If you're worth over a certain amount, really, right now the threshold is 20 million, give or take.
Mm-hmm.
If you're worth less than 20 million, you die and you're good. If you're worth more than 20 million, you owe whatever the amount over. So let's say you're worth 25 million.
Mm-hmm.
Your first 20 is tax exempt, and then your remaining 5 million.
Oh God.
You owe 50% of that to the government in taxes.
Yeah, Uncle Sam going to come
Uncle
get it from
Sam.
you in
So
the grave.
it's called the death tax or the estate tax. So I'm at this conference where everyone there, if they're there, because they're the financial advisors to all these wealthy estates, if they're there, that means their clients are all worth over $20 million. That's like the entry fee to the club, 20 million, right?
Right.
So I'm asking these people, all these ridiculous wealth advisors who are managing, family offices and, just
Insurance companies.
yeah, all that. Like the biggest companies on the planet.
1% of the U.S.
The
population.
0.001%.
20 million a
The
year
advisors
plus.
to those people. And I said, after you've made your millions and your billions, like what's next? What's the next fucking thing after that?
Yeah.
And they're just like legacy, just leaving an impact. So, whether that's philanthropic, whether that's through your family, whatever that is. So I asked all these wealthy people, it's like, once you've made all this money, like, do you just retire and do nothing? And they're like, ha 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 ha, you fucking idiot. Like, no, everyone does something. So what I've realized is like the truly wealthy, they don't just stop working and do nothing.
True.
Everyone enters what I call, it used to be called retirement. Retirement is like the typical, like I retire, I don't stop working, I go on a rocking chair, I just sit by the ocean and I wait to die. That doesn't happen anymore. People, Social Security was basically set in, during the FDR and the New Deal, to basically as an insurance policy, if you lived a couple of years too long and it would kick in, at 62, 65, you would live to 67 and then you're done. Now, you can live to 80, 90, 100, no problem these days.
Yeah.
So what are you going to do with the last 30 years of your life? So my ultimate point is this, you can find yourself at chilling at age 35 like I was, or some people it happen at age 65. And chilling is when you own your time. And when you own your time, I ask everybody, if you had $10 million in the bank, what would you do with your free time? Like if you had 10 million bucks in the bank, fresh, what would you do with your free time? 10 million bucks in the bank.
I'm bored right now.
You're bored.
So I can't even imagine. But just real quick. So I thought people that had real money, that were worried about money, they wanted to try to save money on taxes.
Mm-hmm.
How do you minimize taxes at that point if you're that wealthy, like 20 million?
Yeah, that's why you have to have an estate planner like we talked about, and that's what they do. Like the whole concept of this conference that I go to, it's actually put on by the University of Miami. It's called the Heckerling Estate Planning Conference. It's called trusts and estates. You have to have a trust, you have to have a will, you have to have all this fancy stuff that it's all legal loopholes to avoid taxes.
Yeah.
Trust.
Grantor trust,
Secure your
ILITs,
wealth.
irrevocable, life insurance trust, having life insurance. So like here in Miami, I don't know if you guys have been living here long enough, but the Hard Rock football stadium where the Dolphins play used to be called Joe Robbie Stadium. Does anybody remember that?
Yep.
Okay, you remember that? Mo, you remember? It used to be called Joe Robbie Stadium. It was owned by the Robbie family.
Yeah.
Well, what happened was in 1994, whatever year he died, the government was like, hey, sorry to hear about, Joe Robbie, but the, kids, you owe $150 million to the government in estate tax. And they're oh shit. And they're like, how would you like to pay this bill? And a lot of times to your point, is you'll have life insurance or grantor trust or ILITs or all these fancy estate planning mechanisms that would basically kick in and like, all right, here's the 150 tax exemption right there. Boom, we planned for it. But, James Brown, Whitney Houston, the list goes on and on. They didn't do any estate planning,
Damn.
whatsoever. So what happened to Joe Robbie? Their only asset was sell the football team. So they sold it to Wayne Huizenga for however many $100 million. They paid back the government and they had however much was left over. But basically, this is what's called estate planning failures. Every year, there's a company called it's like Life Insurance Media. I forget the name of the company. The point is, they're like, who basically fucked up on their estate planning this year? Exactly.
Okay, so
like estate planning failures. Exactly. Who fucked up this year?
Who died and didn't do
exactly. Who died and didn't do their shit right? So that, to your to your question is, yeah, at the end of the day, what did you do with your estate planning? So
it's amazing to me how many different ways the wealthy have to protect their wealth and keep it from Uncle Sam. You know, I mean, you know, I'm just starting to scratch the surface.
Legal ways,
nonetheless,
legal ways,
of course. Yeah.
No, but there's illegal ways too.
Yeah.
Like if you read like the
Offshore
offshore
banking,
exactly, the Panama Papers and the pandemic papers, all this stuff that's happened in basically over the last few years about all these wealthy people putting their money offshore.
Yeah, and I'm just starting to scratch the surface to figure out like how the wealthy like maintain their money. And for me, it's through real estate. You know, I figured out what depreciation is, and then cost segregation, which is an advanced form of depreciation. If you guys want to check that out, go watch the Money Monday we did with our boy Steve from accounting, and we broke it down. But I was like, holy shit, because when I saw how much I was supposed to pay in taxes and how much I think my tax bill was going to be this year, it hit me right there. I was just like, wait, this is why Trump does not want to show his tax returns. This is why Kiyosaki doesn't pay taxes. This is why guys like Grant Cardone probably pay less taxes than someone that makes $50,000 to $100,000 a year. And actually, Grant Cardone told a story when he was on the Impulsive podcast how he knew he was going to get a fat tax bill at the end of the year. He went and bought a fucking jet, and he bought the jet like on December 30th. And actually, that was what motivated me to buy a house in the last minute, because I was like, bro, I need to buy something that I can write off. And luckily that I was able to do it with that house. But this guy spent like millions of dollars to buy a jet so he could fly around the United States to check out property. All tax write-off, didn't end up having
depreciation,
a big tax
write-offs. It's all a game.
Yep.
It's, you know, Trump, whether you like him or hate him, whatever it is.
I like him. Fuck the haters.
He plays the game.
Facts.
You know, his famous line is, criticize me all you want. Yeah, I did whatever was within the law that I could do. If I didn't pay taxes, or if I skirted the law or whatever, I just played by the.
I think Hillary, I think it was either at a debate or one of their conventions when they were running in the presidential campaign. She was like, Donald doesn't pay tax, and he's like, but that's because I'm smart. And I was like, fuck yeah, baby, like, you know, because he knows what he's doing. And what I learned, you guys should definitely read this book by Tom Wheelwright. It's called Tax Free Wealth. And what I basically learned from that book, and I'm gonna try to get him on the show for y'all as well, guys. Don't worry. Was if you provide housing, you provide employment. If you do, and basically, if you provide those two big things, housing and employment, you will get huge tax write-offs because the United States is built on the backs of small businesses, right?
Correct.
And if you basically help generate the economy and make it stronger, so they give you huge tax benefits for housing people and employing them. And think about it: Trump has a bunch of hotels where he employs, thousands of people. Then he has a bunch of housing that he owns in New York that that employs and then houses. So bam, he's like the best candidate to get tax breaks.
Trump Towers.
Yeah, Grant Cardone. Cardone Capital, employing people, also buying real estate, and also, has his business and he employs people. Same with Kiyosaki. So, like, then I figured out, damn, this is how these guys get away with not paying taxes.
Yeah.
They provide housing, they provide jobs. Bang, U.S. government's like, all right, you're helping the economy grow. You're basically stimulating us to keep us afloat. Bang, we're going to give you a great tax benefit. You don't got to pay shit. Meanwhile, their employees that make 1% of what they make pay more in taxes. Crazy.
Yeah, you hit the nail on the head. But the thing that I always gravitate back to on real estate is, you think Trump's a fucking rookie? You think Kiyosaki's a rookie?
Of course.
You think they had to get a small little property. They took that, they turned that into another property. Then they bought a duplex, and then they bought a quadplex, and then they bought a 50. Like, it takes time. Yes, real estate can be lucrative. Real estate can be great. But that's your fucking, you better double down on that. If you think you're just going to buy a property, fix it up, flip it, and voila, it doesn't work like that.
You're 100% right.
And we have a real estate expert in the house right now.
We got Roger in the house, and Roger manages my properties in Florida, and my parents are upstairs. And upstairs in Connecticut. And yeah, guys, it is not easy. You know what I'm saying? Especially if you want to be hands off, you're going to have to hire people or do it yourself, which that sucks. So I agree with you.
The easiest thing to do, and this is what it's all about bandwidth. The easiest thing to do is just have your 401k, get your match, max out your Roth. That's the easiest thing you could do. That's vanilla.
You don't have to do shit.
You don't have to do shit. That's like basic stuff. Now, from there, you can go into diversify and have different assets and asset allocation. But is real estate lucrative? Yes. Is real estate easy? No.
Yeah.
So, if you're willing to put in the work. Exactly.
You need capital to get in it unless you're going to do FHA. So no, I think what you're talking about is going to be the strategy that 90% of people have to take.
They should.
And it's a safe way too. The index has consistently been given great returns. I think somewhere between 10 to 13% the S&P 500.
10% for the last 100 years.
There you go. So it's consistent.
Yeah,
It's
if you don't
slow,
know, if
it's
you don't know what
consistent.
to do, if you don't have a business, if you don't know how to start with that.
Yeah, it's very safe. Okay, let's transition over to
Sure,
crypto.
bro.
What's your thoughts on crypto?
So I got into crypto in 2017. So
Okay.
here's my crypto story.
Guys, like the video, please, before he gets into this.
Yeah, thanks,
Sub the
guys.
channel.
And sub to the channel and check him out as well at Valuetainment Money.
Thank you. And this was right as I was transitioning from basically doing the hedge fund thing full time into doing the social media thing. And again, it's all about bandwidth. How many things, I think most people can do at most 3 things efficiently. Everyone wants to talk
Facts.
about different streams of income. You got to have different streams of income. And again, it's like, no, how about having one awesome stream of income? Have one.
And that's
And then from there, you can maybe do a little bit more than that. So for me, like I saw when I was focusing on my main job and I kind of veered off, my income took a hit. Like, oh shit, I was making $450. Now I made $300 this year. Like, that's $150,000 because I like doing fucking interviews on Rolling Loud. Like, let me, so now it's kind of balanced out. So before you can kind of have different streams of income, double down on one thing, get great at one thing, stop being a jack of all trades and be a specialist in one thing. Once you're a specialist and you've specialized in something, then you can kind of pivot into doing something else.
true.
But if you try to take on too many things, you're just going to be like all over the place. So for me, I was doing the hedge fund thing. I started with social media and I was doing my show, Valuetainment, everything with that. And then crypto came along and my bandwidth was not there. I like my best friend, the guy who basically gave me the equipment for the CNN,
Okay.
CNBC,
Yep, to start filming.
was like, "Yo, bro, I'm telling you, Bitcoin, crypto, it's the fucking." I'm like, dude, he's telling me about blockchain and Bitcoin.
And
I'm
you're
like,
what?
yeah, exactly. I'm like, listen, take all your bitty bops and Betty boobs and all your stuff and I can't even deal with it. He goes, I promise you, bro, this is where it's at. It's 2017.
Yeah.
He goes, give me 10 grand, bro. Give me 10 grand. I'm like, get the fuck out of my face, bro. He's like, dude, he's my best friend. So I give him 10 grand. The next week, give me 10 more grand, bro. Come on, dude. We do this song and dance for weeks and weeks and weeks. At this point, I've given him 45 G's. And this is at the height of crypto. Boom, crypto crashes at the end of 2017. I think it hit like 20K when crypto basically
it hit
went
the peak
bust.
and then it went
It went
down.
the peak, then it went down.
Yeah.
And he's like, oh my God, I feel so bad. I thought I knew it all. And he's talking to me about altcoins and stable coins and bitcoins and bitty bops and blockchains. And he's like, do you want to sell? I'm like, no, I don't want to fucking sell.
Nope.
I give you 45 grand and now it's worth 20 grand.
Oh, you
no,
gave
I'm
him-
not
you
selling.
gave him 45K?
Yeah, I gave him 45
So he asked for
G's.
10 and you said, fuck it, I'll give you 45.
No,
No,
he
overtime,
kept going back
Okay,
after a week. He's like, I'm telling you, because crypto was going up. But this goes back to my initial point. I had saved that money. This was money that if I lost, I was prepared to lose. I had a nice, chunk of cash. And I'd already done all my investments. I've done the safer investments.
There you go.
Before I did the crypto thing.
Yeah.
So I did it in order. I saved that. I got out of debt. I saved that money. I had a lot of cash. I did all my normal investments, 401k, Roth IRA, all that traditional stuff, brokerage stuff, Fidelity, Vanguard, all that. And then I looked to crypto. So by the time I'm 45, almost 50 G's
Did you
deep,
buy your Tesla stock before crypto?
Tesla was 3 years ago. No, so crypto came first.
Okay. So you started buying individual stocks after.
Yeah, just a couple here and there. Nothing crazy. It's
the way,
not anything.
Your anthem should be that Lil Dicky song. Save that
Hey, we're gonna say that money. Exactly. I mean, shout out to Lil Dicky, of course.
Fetty Wap.
So and Fetty Wap. So the point is, he's like, "Do you want to sell?" I'm like, "No, dude. Like, just buy and hold, hodl." And then I started doing all my man on the street at the crypto conferences and learning what crypto was. And what I'll say is this: is like I said, the best investment you can ever make is in yourself, right? And getting smarter and faster and stronger and sexier and cooler and everything.
Yep.
That's why people watch Fresh and Fit Podcast, is so they can improve themselves. At the end of the day, you're a self-development, a personal development for men for the most part, right? Women too, but it's just about getting better.
Yep.
So for me, yes, investing in myself, but I invested in my best friend, who then became a crypto expert. He was on his show, got picked up by CNBC. It was called Crypto Trader on CNBC. He was the guy hosting fucking crypto shows on CNBC. And he was going all over the world learning about crypto. This is 2017, 2018, 2019. Boom, the pandemic happened and he got shut down and he came back to Miami and he was doing his thing. But the point is, I invested in him. Now, he has turned that 45 startup.
Was it all in BTC or?
He had done some Bitcoin, some altcoins. He was telling me shit about, at the time, Solana and Cardano and this. I'm like, dude, I have no clue what you're talking about. Like, no. And then he started getting into NFTs. I was like, out of it.
Oh, even more.
The point that I'm getting at is I invested in, so it's like, if you don't want to become a real estate expert, right? And you're like, dude, I'm making some money now, but I trust Myron. I trust my team. Let me give him, some seed capital, 100 G's. I know that we're going to split whatever comes in, whatever agreement you have, but you trust his expertise and you know what he's doing. You're investing in someone you trust. Now, if you don't trust them, don't give them your money. This is my best friend since
his name is
high
Jordan
school.
Belfort. Don't do it.
Don't give Jordan Belfort your money. But for him, he has now become like one of the main guys in South Florida in crypto.
Wow.
He's taken that 45 and he's put in a couple bucks himself. So let's call it 70 G's. And now that's worth millions.
Shit.
And I have 25% of that.
Bam.
So I'm not touching it. So I have a lot of exposure into crypto and
Nice.
NFTs and all that stuff. But I'm not the crypto expert. I don't pretend to be the crypto expert, but I gave money to the crypto expert.
Right.
So
Same
here's
here.
what
we got a guy that told us what to buy, and we just bought what he told us: Bitcoin, Ethereum.
Charlie,
keep it
I'm
simple.
Miguel.
Same thing, bro.
and that's
Crypto.
I went to last year. What was it in June? The Bitcoin conference here.
Okay.
It's coming back here in a few months.
Yeah.
And I interviewed Anthony Popliano, who's like one of the biggest Bitcoin guys on the planet, and just a handful of just the biggest crypto people out there. And I asked them, I said, give me your top 3 cryptos. And number 1 was Bitcoin. Number 2 was Ethereum. And what do you think number 3 was?
Hex?
Man. Maybe Solana? Or
Okay. You got a guess?
Oh, he knows nothing.
Dogecoin? Is that what he said?
Dogecoin.
So that's there was no uniformity on number 3. That was
Yeah.
kind of my example right there. Everyone had a different response. Cardano, XRP, Ripple, Solana, Dogecoin, this, that, Bitty Bop, whatever. So what I realized, I was like, oh shit, there's no uniformity on number 3. Bitcoin's where it's at. And then people are like, well, Bitcoin's old and slow. It's like, all right, cool. Ethereum, clearly number 2.
Yep.
And then number 3, who knows? So like you said, you bought Bitcoin, you bought Ethereum, but the whole HODL thing. If you would have sold years ago, you would have missed the bull run of crypto.
Exactly.
And same thing now. So investing is something that you buy and hold long term.
Facts.
And only sell if you absolutely need to. And that if you've saved your money, save that money, you're never going to have to really sell your crypto. So everything that we've done with crypto, it's still in the account. He manages it. He's the custodian of the account. Boom, we've got some crypto money. What I will tell people is have some exposure with crypto. Don't go. I know people literally that like everything is in crypto. Everything. Like they pay their rent in crypto. It's insane
I know guys,
to me.
Legit have no money in the bank.
Yes.
They have to take money out from their crypto portfolio to spend.
That to me is not a lifestyle I want to live. That's not a lifestyle I want to live. But then there's people on the opposite side. I would never invest in crypto. Zero. I would never. I trust zero. It's like, hold it. So you want to have zero in it? So for me, I follow the big boys. So if you remember last year, all the big boys, Bank of America, Square, Jack Dorsey, Tesla, like everyone, they started putting somewhere between 3 and 8% of their portfolio into crypto. So, all right.
Yes, they did it.
So 3.
Elon Musk tweeted about it.
Exactly. So if your happy medium is 5%, if you've got $100,000 or $10,000 for that matter, take $500, take $5,000, whatever, and put it in some crypto and play the long game.
Right.
But to keep your head in the sand like an ostrich, I don't think is a good plan. But to go all in on Dogecoin with every penny you got, probably not a good look.
Yeah.
So find your happy medium.
What my guy always told me was put in whatever you're willing, okay with
to lose.
losing.
Exactly.
Like if you put it in and you lose it, are you gonna pull your hair out? No.
Exactly.
Okay.
That's
safe.
the analogy. The $45,000 I gave him was the number. I was like, if I lose this, I'm gonna be fucking pissed at you.
Yeah.
But it's not gonna change my life. I'm
There you
still
go.
gonna be good to go. Everything's gonna be okay.
Yeah. Which is a blessing in itself to have that much money.
Exactly.
Big
And
baller.
that goes to just saving. And it's look, when I was here, I'll tell you this. when I was 26, I was living. One of my friends played in the NBA. I was living on his couch. Okay. Fast forward 10 years later, I'm 36. I have an NBA player who just came to the Miami Heat living on my couch. Like, just to put that in perspective, I went from the dude who was crashing on people's couches, you know, yes, some of them were celebrities or whatever, just regular people too, to literally NBA players crashing on my couch.
Switcheroo.
So, but it took 10 years.
Yeah.
It took 10 years.
It takes time.
It takes time. So, you know, everyone wants to become a Dogecoin millionaire. You know, it's
Those are for the lucky few, not
Exactly.
for everybody.
All right, so
chats.
I'll read some of these chats real fast.
And the girls are here, right?
Yeah, they're all down to us right now.
Oh, they're all here, Chris?
Yep.
Okay. $20. Elliot Wave review. Thoughts on holding physical gold and silver bullion as part of your portfolio as a hedge?
yeah.
Okay.
Do you want me to answer that?
Sure, go for it. I have silver
So
myself.
what is fuck? I'm gonna forget his name. EB. I want to give him a shout out. So what's
No
EB's
worries.
last name?
I'll read these chats while you pull it up. Wayne, celebrating finishing a real estate deal 4 months in the making with
EB
FNFM.
Tucker.
Great topic for Money Monday. Got you,
There you
baby.
go,
Good,
man.
Congrats on that big 100 chat. Helping y'all get your money on point. TJ Boss Life. Shout out Fresh and Fit dropping knowledge. Thank you. Boosted Coyote. $10 for the algo. Thank you guys. Like the video, by the way. We haven't been stopping the video, so we want you guys to get all this sauce. Time shift, $20. Just tuning in. So sorry if this has already been asked. What are your opinions on TFRA's tax-free retirement accounts? We talked about that with the Roth IRAs. $20 from Jonathan Adams. Where to start a good Roth IRA? How much should I save before investing? Where to start an index fund? Is Charles Schwab good? What are some good assets for beginners? How do you start a real estate? Goal is 6 figs by 30. I'm 22. Well, we answered pretty much all those
yeah,
questions, bro. So just go back and watch.
back
We
a
talked
little
about, if you get anything that tracks the S&P 500, bro, or tracks the total stock market, you're fine, whether it's an index fund or ETF. Real estate, get in your first property with a FHA loan, and you're good to go, man.
And read the book Set for Life by Seth. It's an awesome book for a starter kit.
Yeah. Okay. So, did you find it?
Yeah, E.B. Tucker. He wrote the book about gold. Basically, gold is... So Patrick actually went on Fox News with Dan Bongino. Do you know who Dan Bongino is? He's a Fox News host.
No idea.
And he debated Peter Schiff. Do you know who Peter Schiff is? About the importance of gold. Gold is good as a hedge against inflation.
Yes, it is.
Okay? So,
Fuck the haters.
it's almost like... if shit goes down, zombies are attacking, you have gold. And the debate was whether crypto is the better version of gold. And Patrick Bet David, his argument was like, stop trying to compare crypto to gold.
Yeah.
Gold's is like doomsday prep, like hedge against inflation. Crypto is a complete animal of its own.
Yep.
But super wealthy people or people that want to preserve their wealth or their capital use gold as basically insurance, as a hedge against inflation, against if shit goes down. So yeah, I would say if you're building wealth and you have a, kind of like I said, to take 5% of your portfolio and put it in crypto, take a certain percentage and put it in gold.
Mm-hmm.
I got into it. I interviewed Kiyosaki. Did you guys?
He has a lot of gold.
He got
We talked
gold
about-
and
we-
silver.
Yeah, he has a
If there's
both.
one thing I remember about
talked with him about
Kiyosaki, he's the one guy that I've ever interviewed, and I've interviewed a lot of freaking people.
Yeah.
He's the one guy who would not say to save your money. I'm like, yo, Mr. Kiyosaki, because we've hung out a few times
Yeah.
and he's come to the studio and he was at Patrick's birthday and he's an OG, but he does not believe in saving money.
Yeah.
Him and Dave Ramsey are
He's a bit
Yeah.
he's a bit older, but his methodology is still young as hell. Like in terms of investing. and money.
his whole thing is that he's a real estate investor.
Yeah.
And he's rather
That's
like
where that aggressiveness is coming from. And not
unless
saving
you're
money.
a real estate investor, you better be saving your money. But he's like, why would I save money if I can go to the bank and take out a $10 million loan?
Yeah.
The problem is most people aren't able to be able to do that.
And he's one of the few that loves debt, absolutely
Yes.
loves
he
it.
mentioned
Yes.
he has $1 billion in debt.
Yeah.
So he's set for life.
Yeah. Yeah.
But his whole thing is playing the depreciation game and the amortization
Yes.
game. And
Yeah.
you think that
Cost
guy's a rookie?
segregation, all that
You think
crazy
that
shit.
guy isn't just like lollygagging through real estate? That guy's an absolute G. So, if you're going to be doing real estate like he does, just read up. And this is what I'll say
And
to
his
anyone
accountant,
asking questions.
Tom Wheelwright is one of the best accountants in the
Yeah.
world.
Yeah.
His accountant, Tom Wheelwright. A lot of people don't know. That guy's like the sauce behind a lot of Kiyosaki savvy tax things that he's
He's a
able to do.
legend.
And I
Legally,
like
of
that
course.
sauce. You
Legally, of
know,
course.
the sauce likes the sauce.
Exactly.
Here's what I will say. Anyone asking
Yeah, Kiyosaki buy
questions,
good debt. See?
anyone asking
Where can I find
questions, you could use any answer that someone gives you as a, okay, cool, thanks for that. But then go do your own research. Then go, say, all right, so Adam talked about getting a Roth IRA. Myron talked about getting an FHA loan, right? Walt was talking about getting involved in real estate. It's like, well, now go Google some shit.
Yep.
Get on YouTube, watch a video. Like, the research doesn't stop right here. So,
Question: if someone asks questions one-on-one, like let's say outside the podcast, where could they find you to do that? For example,
my course is coming out on Valuetainment in about a month. So reach out to Valuetainment. Info at Valuetainment. Like, we have an entire team that you guys were there at the studio with that will answer your questions. So info at Valuetainment, send an email and we'll get you guys set up with that.
Fantastic, man. And then the YouTube channel is called Valuetainment Money.
Valuetainment Money, exactly. So the mothership, the main channel is Valuetainment, and then I host Valuetainment Money, and then I also co-host the PBD podcast.
Real
with
quick,
Pat.
man. Can you tell us about the PBD podcast?
Yeah.
How
Sure.
you guys got that going, and what it's like working with Patrick Bet-David?
Sure, bro. So
Great podcast.
thank you, brother. So Pat has been doing Valuetainment for years, and it was mostly, how-to episodes,
Yes.
motivation episodes. He would do stuff on a board episode, and just like literally hundreds and hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of episodes of money and business and networking and skills and
crime bosses,
entrepreneurship. And
Interesting.
then
That's
he
how I found
pivoted.
him.
Exactly. Then he pivoted to
channel here, guys.
Oh, is this right here?
Valuetainment.
there we
Money.
go. Hey
Pretty
yo.
good setup here.
Hold on, I see Myron Boar's fresh.
Hey, y'all put the timestamps in. That's what we're talking about, baby.
Hey,
There we go.
85K
Yeah.
views right now.
So yeah, that's actually killing it. Respect.
Yeah, there you
Yes,
go,
sir.
bro. You need us on PBD podcast now, bro.
Yeah, that's what we're
Gang.
gonna have to arrange. So
Yes.
so basically he he was doing his thing just with Valuetainment.
Yeah.
And then he's like, you know what, I think I want to do a podcast, and I'm thinking about having some guests on, and it's called Valuetainment. And my whole thing with Pat is like, you've given so much value. Like, let's get some of that tainment going, baby. Let's get some of that tainment going.
Yeah.
So we started the podcast so we can kind of speak more freely, non-edited, everything that you guys do. So within Valuetainment, there's certain channels that we have. Like, you guys have a short clips channel. We've got a short clips channel.
Yeah, y'all got a lot
so
of
if you don't
channels.
want to watch a 2-hour podcast, you can watch a 10-minute clip.
Yep.
But then we have the PBD podcast that I don't know, 125 episodes we've done so far, and I co-host that with Pat.
Yep.
And
You guys film it live.
we film it live. We
Yep.
did one this morning with actually former governor of Illinois, Rod
Look, Scott, real quick.
Blagojevich, who was basically the governor of Illinois in 2008 when Obama became president and gave up his Senate seat, and he was found guilty of selling Obama's Senate seat and got arrested, and he was in jail for I believe 8 years, and Trump actually pardoned him. So he was on the podcast today, Blagojevich, and he has a Hulu docuseries called Being
14
Blago
years
out.
in federal prison.
Yes,
That's crazy.
Looking at it.
Blagojevich, and the guy's got a head of hair like he's like ridiculous.
All right, we got some chats here.
Okay, and guys, do me a quick favor. Like the video. We're gonna get switch it up here to the after hour show in a second. Pause Nation, $20. Question for Adam: will you invite Jenny to the late show? We need her input on the current dating game. She's 27 and her clock is ticking. Also, send my condolences. God.
I don't think that's happening.
NBA Lulo, $10. Are most NFTs really just money laundering schemes?
There's a lot of thought behind that they are. I'm not one to comment on NFTs. I would just say that just be very careful with what you're buying.
Watch our episode that we did with Bandman Kevel. We talked about that, how to make sure you don't get
People hype
scammed
it
by
up,
NFT people.
and then it just drops.
He broke it down how they scam you on NFTs. Go check that episode out on with Bandman Kevel from last week. And then also, guys, check them out. Valuetainment Money, Valuetainment Channel, PBD Podcast, and
Instagram Adam Sauce.
Yes, what's your
Oh,
IG?
SOS Talks Money, SOS Talks Money on Instagram. There's I guess you guys are probably experiences yourself. You have any fake accounts pretending to be Fresh and Fit?
That's what we got
It's
verified.
happening.
Yeah.
So if anybody hits you up pretending to be Fresh and Fit, or if anybody hits you up pretending to be from Valuetainment or Sal's Talks Money, they're fake accounts. I assume nobody here is asking people for crypto on the DMs.
Unless
Don't
you're
give
trying to
people
come to
money on the
Miami,
DM.
I'm not DMing you.
Yeah.
Trying to come to Miami, got
Unless
you.
you're a female trying to come to Miami, I'm not DMing you for anything.
All right, cool. So, guys, we're going to get going with the after-hour show here in a second. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. Check out Adam on all his YouTube channels. Links will be below. We had a great show, man. Peace.
Peace.